Can you guys see me? Can you hear me? Oh man. All right. I am so excited for today's live. Welcome. I'm Marcie Billen. I'm a real estate agent here in the Oklahoma City Metro. I specifically live in Norman. And as you can tell by the thumbnail I put up, that meaning like the cover picture of this one, I wanted to talk a little bit about education. Now, I felt like my intro to this, I put is the system failing on my thumbnail. And I felt like that was a little bit unfair. That's not what I'm going to talk about. I don't think that that's a necessary conversation. Most of what I want to have a discussion with you about today, oh, sorry, my nose itches a lot, is education opportunities that have been created so that people can find them and take advantage of them. I feel like a lot of times in this state, there are lots of opportunities and maybe everyone doesn't know about them. And I get a lot of questions from my clients, especially ones who are moving in from out of state, about a lot of different education opportunities, both for themselves and for their children. So I think it's really important to talk about. So welcome. Thanks so much for joining. I would love to hear your ideas, your comments, your concerns, your interjections as we talk. So if you have a comment, something you want to say, something you want to pipe in about, or a question to ask, please jump in and we'll get it answered for you. Cool. All right, guys. So I'm Marcie Billen. I'm a real estate agent. I live here in the Oklahoma City Metro. I live and work in Norman. And today is about education and a few other things, government and Toby Keith. I don't know if you saw today. If you don't live in Oklahoma, you may not have seen it. But Toby Keith actually died. He has been suffering from stomach cancer for 2 years. It sounded like 3, maybe. And man, I was just like, stomach cancer. Can you imagine the pain of that? I can't imagine the pain of it, to be honest with you. I know he had been out and about going to OU football games, going to OU softball games because he loves football and softball. And then he had played a couple of shows at his restaurants. One of his restaurants is just down the street from me. And I didn't go to it because I'm not a big let's go out and watch live music. But everyone was really excited when they saw him there. And they also said that he didn't look so great. But it makes sense if you're suffering from stomach cancer. So we're really sad about that. If you didn't know, Toby Keith was from Moore, which is the town just north of Norman. So it's between Norman and Oklahoma City. A lot of times people are a little bit scared of the city of Moore because of the history of tornadoes in that city. Now, is there actually a lot of tornadoes? I mean, yeah. If you want to have a weather conversation with me, I want to do that. And I have a lot of weather conversations with people. So if you have weather comments or questions, drop them below and we'll get those answered for you. But yes, Toby Keith was from Moore. We think we know which one was his house. I'm sure somebody else could tell me which house was his. I think he owns 3 restaurants. It was kind of confusing in this article whether he owned I Love This Bar, which is a Toby Keith restaurant, because that's one of his songs, if you didn't know that. I know all of his songs by heart because I'm from Oklahoma and that's what they played on the radio. His big hit that I remember learning as a child was Should Have Been a Cowboy. And yes, I can sing every word of it. I won't do it for you right now, though. So we're really sad that he died. 62 is so young. And he did a lot for the community. However you feel about his politics, he did a lot for the community. And it was cool that he lived here and didn't hide, I guess. So yeah, it was a sad day. I woke up to that email because I subscribed to every newsletter from K4 and the Oklahoman and everything else. So yeah, that's what happened today in Oklahoma. That's the biggest news across the state for sure, but especially here in the Oklahoma City Metro because this is where he lived. Cool. All right, guys. Next up, so I have a whole list of things. So after the Toby Keith situation, I wanted to dive into the state of the state. So Governor Stitt is our governor. And I'm going to put this up here for you, and I want to share my screen. So I'm going to present to you these shared screens, window, this one, share. Okay. Governor Stitt is the governor of Oklahoma. Kevin, we'll call him. So he delivered his State of the State address. This is his 5th one that he's done. So it opens up the legislative session for whatever this, I don't know, period or whatever. So I just wanted to cover these things. I'm not trying to get into politics with you. I like to stay up to date with what things are going on. First of all, so that I know what I'm talking about when I'm talking to you, and it's because it's really, really interesting to me. This is fascinating stuff. So let me actually, there we go. I feel like my camera's a little off there, but I think we're good. Okay. This says his 6th state of the state. So he's been governor for 5 years. Yeah. So the first thing that I guess he covered as he was talking was the path to zero income tax. So if you don't know, in Oklahoma, our income tax is anywhere from 0 to 5% for state taxes. I'm not really sure what he's after with this 0% income tax. I'm not sure where that money is going to come from because, Texas doesn't have income tax, but their property taxes are very high. Our property taxes are very low. So I'm not really sure what's going on there. I haven't heard where the plan is to get money from to cut the taxes that much, but I have no idea. Who knows what he's thinking on that. And if you know, please drop it in the comments for me. And let me just check my comments every now and again for you guys. So he's asked lawmakers to have a special session to adopt a 0.25% cut in the income tax rate. So that's what he's trying to do. And then apparently trying to open some sort of redo the judiciary system here in Oklahoma to look like Delaware and Texas's judiciary system with complex cases, which I had no idea they had a special judiciary system, but that was kind of cool to me, really fascinating. And this is where I got my idea for talking about education with you today. So more innovative charter schools. Last week, I mentioned this book that I've been reading, Visual Thinking, and the hands-on learning situation. This is what he's talking about, is having more hands-on education opportunities for Oklahoma students. So learning specialized trades and skills. He's looking at, there's a private school called Cristo Rey in Oklahoma City. It's a Catholic high school, to my understanding. There's Dove Science Academy, and then there's Norman Aviation Academy, which I think is brand new. Here in Norman, the Aviation Academy prepares students for aviation careers, to be pilots or aircraft maintenance technicians. Because if you didn't know, after watching me on my channel, we are an aviation state, aerospace. That's what we do here. So yes, that's very important to our state. So we have a lot of airplanes flying around and lots of people who work in aerospace. So they're calling for more charter schools to pave the way for children or for students to have more education that is hands-on learning so that they can get into careers that make sense for the state and for them. Consolidation in higher education. So later on in this, I have a list of public universities, and a lot of people ask me about universities, and then they also ask me about VOTEC. What I call VOTEC is called career tech. So we're going to talk about that also. But I guess he mentioned this. I did not actually watch his State of the State. I was probably watching my cop show, but he said that colleges and universities should focus on the subjects that they're best at. and like kind of cut out the rest of the stuff. As you'll see later in this show, I talk about like nursing and more aviation opportunities for education, which leads into work opportunities and business opportunities for people who live in our state. So, yeah, I thought this was pretty fascinating. I'm sure it was a little bit longer than this. Like I said, I did not watch it. I do prefer to read rather than watch things. So that's why I did that. Now, the next thing that they went over was the tribal compacts. I didn't really know about this, but this is another question that I've been getting a lot from people who are moving from other states into Oklahoma. So a few years ago, there was a Supreme Court ruling that the nations were independent in Oklahoma. So we have 39 recognized Indian nations. We do not have reservations. I don't really understand the reservation system because I've never been around it. I've only lived in Oklahoma. So, but there is, if you look at a map of Oklahoma, you'll see where like it's divided into Indian nations and Oklahoma non-Indian nations, not from back in the day, but now. And that has to do with that Supreme Court ruling. And it's very complicated and it's hard for me to understand. And I know that if I dig into it a little bit harder, I could understand it. But what he's talking about here is tribal compacts. And what a compact is an agreement or like I would like to say a contract between two nations, because the nation of the Chickasaw Nation or the Cherokee Nation or whoever, their nations, they have their own government, and Oklahoma has its own government. So it's like an agreement between the two nations. So I guess he's working on, or he's done like 4 different ones with the tribes. Stitt has not always been popular with the tribes, and you can find a lot of YouTube videos outlining what they've done during his different talks with different tribes. It's really fascinating. You should go find that. I thought it was super fascinating. So let me just check that. Perfect. Okay, so he signed off on 5 compacts. The 5th compact renews Oklahoma's car tag deal with the Chickasaw Nation. There is something to do. I'm not a registered Native American. I don't have any Native American blood to my knowledge. I grew up with many people who were. I grew up in the Cherokee Nation. And here in Norman, we're not in a nation to my understanding, but there are lots of nations around us. Typical ones that I go into are like the Potawatomi Nation. And yes, you should definitely practice saying that word. It's a good one. I like it a lot. The first one was about tobacco being sold in tribal lands and like where that money is going to. If you did not know, Oklahoma is very popular in terms of gaming. So WinStar Casino is the biggest casino in the world, and it is on the border between Texas and Oklahoma. And people from Texas go up to that casino and gamble all the time. It looks like it's like 10 Walmarts put together. Like this thing is ginormous. If you haven't ever driven by it, you totally should. It is crazy. Excuse me, my nose is just so bad today. So there is a compact between Oklahoma and the tribes to collect money from the tribes that they're getting through gambling, because they have the right, the only rights for the gaming situation, Las Vegas style gaming in Oklahoma. And yes, we do have a casino here in Norman. There are no casinos in Oklahoma city limits. They are not allowed, but they are literally everywhere else. So yes. Let's see here. If you guys have something to say, like I would love to hear comments, questions, interjections. If I get something wrong, you just tell me. That will be fantastic. Okay. I guess one of the issues that has come up is that Governor Stitt says that the compact is unfair between the tribes about gaming. So he believes that Oklahoma should be making more money under some of the deals, especially the main state tribal gaming compact approved by voters in 2004, which is a long time ago. Under that agreement, the tribes pay the state monthly fees in exchange for the exclusive right to operate Las Vegas style gaming in Oklahoma. The payments now add up to $200 million a year. So you can see that we're getting a lot of revenue from gaming here in Oklahoma. Cool. It is a contentious issue. I won't lie to you. And they are just a part of Oklahoma, gambling. And of course, tribes. I think it's really important to understand tribal culture here in Oklahoma. And the place to start with that, of course, is the First Americans Museum. And reading, listening, talking to people, really important. Visiting some of the outlying towns where tribes headquarters might be located. Like, there's so much that can be felt and learned about Native Americans here in Oklahoma. And of course, and I just kind of learned recently, like, so many went back to the eastern states that they were originally from. And so there's lots of different pockets of Native American tribes and indigenous tribes. I don't know how you want me to say it. I'm so sorry. Just tell me. Oh my gosh. The cat just decided that the shade was down too far for her, so she tried to move it. I would suggest that you learn as much as you can about Native Americans or Indigenous Americans or whatever you would like us to call you. Sorry, it's hard for me to know. Go and learn, because it's really fascinating. And there's so much Oklahoma culture wrapped up in being Native American, from like food to like how we act and all the things. Like, just go learn about it. It's really fun. Anyway, okay. I need some comments from you guys. Like, I need to know who's here. Cool. Next up is Oklahoma graduates. So obviously I'm talking about education in this particular live, and I thank you so much for joining me. So how many graduates of Oklahoma colleges are staying here and working? So this article says it is more than we think. So I'm actually a graduate of the University of Oklahoma. And this article is saying, like, there's a high percentage of graduates that are staying in Oklahoma 5 years after graduation, which did not used to be the case to my understanding, which is why they're reporting on this. Oklahoma has done a lot in the past, 2-3 decades to make sure that people want to stay here, creating jobs, creating infrastructure, keeping the cost of living low, things like that. So more than 3/4 of graduates from Oklahoma's public colleges and universities, there are a lot of private, are employed in Oklahoma 5 years after graduation, according to the most recent Employment Outcomes Report. 1 in 5 year retention rates are particularly high among nursing graduates and graduates who received an Oklahoma Promise Scholarship, which I think is where you have to stay in the state and work, which makes sense. Nursing, aerospace, we've talked about that. If you didn't know, we've talked about it a million times. The Department of Defense is actually the biggest employer in the state of Oklahoma. They employ the most people. So please know that. Retention rates from graduates from Oklahoma high schools and students that came from the outside of the state to attend college or university. We have a lot of people that come from outside of the state. The most, I believe, come from Texas, but I could be wrong on that. I went to school to University of Oklahoma with a lot of people from Texas, a lot. So there are critical fields that we see that Oklahoma needs and have done a decently good job of keeping those people here. Teaching, engineering, and nursing are 3 of those fields. Engineering can encompass so many different things. Aerospace is probably one of the biggest ones. So just know that. And the STEM fields, and OU does focus on these fields to a big extent. So science, technology, and engineering and mathematics, sorry. 84.1% are working in the state 1 year after graduation, and more than 70% are doing so 5 years after graduation. Those that graduate with something that has to do with STEM. The report also noted that about 88% of teacher education graduates are employed in the state 1 year after graduation. I would like to see the 5-year stuff for that, because what we're seeing is kind of a big rate of, teachers leaving the field after just a few years. And there's so many reasons for that, but it does clue us in to some of these stats about Oklahoma's education issues. And it's possible, and we have seen this, that we've lost some big companies moving into Oklahoma because Oklahoma is ranked number 49 in education. Now, to me, that doesn't mean that our education is horrible and no one should ever move here. I have only lived in Oklahoma. I got all of my education in public Oklahoma schools, K through 12, and then my bachelor's degree. And I do believe that education, to an extent, is what you make of it, and looking for those opportunities. And I believe that we have to have a great environment for people to thrive in that. We can't put up barriers to make things hard. So I think that both are involved in this, and there's a lot of creating that can be done to have some great opportunities in terms of education in the state of Oklahoma. Cool. Okay, let me see this. Nice. Yes, I want to see some more statistics from this. So that would be fantastic for me. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but okay. Next, I saw this on my TikTok this week, and I was like, oh, this is in Oklahoma. So this TikTok went viral. I don't know if you guys saw it. Let's see. It's this one. It was this guy, and it just says the Oklahoma School for the Deaf is giving, you can sign up for free American Standard Sign Language classes, and it had 300,000 likes on Sunday. And it's really easy. You just go to their website. Let me find it for you. 8-week classes are pre-recorded. They are self-paced. The classes are non-credit, and they do not count towards professional development hours or continuing education units. But if you need to learn some American Sign Language, then this is probably the place to sign up to do that. So the Oklahoma School for the Deaf is located in Sulphur, which is at about an hour south of Norman here. So they are offering American Sign Language 1 and American Sign Language 2 for free on their website. One of the cool things that you can find in Oklahoma in our education system. Sweet. Okay, public universities in Oklahoma. I get asked a lot about education opportunities as I'm helping people move from other states into Oklahoma. And so I pulled this up. And please know, of course, that each university has its own sort of specialty. And some of them I know, and some of them I do not know. For instance, University of Oklahoma is, of course, the biggest university in Oklahoma. I think there are 25,000 students. Is there 4 campuses? There's 3 that I know of. I guess there's 4. Hard to know, right? Anyway, so things that I hear people going to OU for: business being a huge, the business college, huge. Meteorology is another one that people go to OU a lot for. Another one is going to be aerospace engineering, really popular. Geology, and I also work with a lot of people in the geology department, which is awesome. And then, let's see what else. Did I have something else on my list? I went for international studies. That was actually my degree. And it is a pretty like renowned international studies school, and probably not something you hear about a ton, but that is what I went to school for at OU. And that's what my degree is in. So I'm going to click on that. There are, like I said, lots of them here in the Oklahoma City Metro. If you're looking at junior colleges or what we call junior community college, the main one is going to be OTRIP. So OCCC, Oklahoma City Community College. I have it up on the screen right now. This is a really popular, it's a 2-year university. I know they have a really big like film program right now. I haven't like looked into it too much. They also have a nursing school, and then actually Handsome, who's my husband, does sit on a board for nurse anesthesiologists. So this college was founded in 1972. There are just under 20,000 students enrolled at OTRIP. I know lots of people that go to OTRIP and who work at OTRIP. That's really common. And obviously you can see why we call it OTRIP, OCCC. So yeah, that's a good one. Lots of people who live in Norman will go there. It is kind of on the south side of Oklahoma City, so it's a pretty simple drive to get there every day. And then, of course, we have OSU, Oklahoma State University. It is not in the Oklahoma City Metro. It is the second largest public university in Oklahoma. They have a lot, let's see, veterinarian. Their veterinarian school is very good. That's where people typically end up going to veterinarian school if you're from this region. And then what else? My dad went to OSU for engineering, agricultural engineering. And then like my cousin went to school there for education. Another big university. Lots of people go. Most of my family went to OSU. I just did not. And then Rose State College, let me find it, is another one that people go to a lot. Here it is. Rose State College is in Midwest City. And my husband actually went there because he worked in the lab. And so he got his lab tech certificate at Rose State. And we also know several people who work there as well. It doesn't say how many students they have. I think it's a bit smaller than OTRIP. Those are the two main junior colleges, community colleges that we have here in the Oklahoma City Metro are going to be those two. So if you're looking into something like that, that's what I would suggest. The other ones here in the Oklahoma City Metro, so the University of Central Oklahoma is going to be the biggest one. It's a 4-year college. Back in the day, it was for education, for teachers. It was a teacher's college. I know lots of teachers still go there. I don't know what else they're necessarily like focusing on right now, but it is a big university in Edmond. So that is another opportunity there. I think that's all of them. We have a couple private universities, but we're talking about public universities today. So I think that's about it. And then also in my hometown in Claremore, Ridge Rogers State University, and it became a 4-year college when I was growing up. And I know lots of people who went there as well. And I think nursing is a big deal there. If you guys have anything to jump in and say, I'd love to hear where you went to school. If you went to school in Oklahoma or you're thinking about getting some more education, I want to hear where you're thinking about doing that, what you're thinking about doing. Cool. Oh, Rose State, just under 5,000. So yeah, it's quite a bit smaller, but they do have some specialized programs that I know people really like. Cool. I talk to people about this a lot. So this is Oklahoma Career Tech. I call it VOTech because that's what it was called whenever I was in school in the early 2000s. We had one very close to our house, and a bus would pick the kids up from my high school and take them to the VOTech every day for classes. I never went, which I kind of regret. And I just liked schoolwork. So I was a big university person as well. But I think learning some of these skills would have been really cool in my life, but I did not do that. But Career Tech has 29 tech centers on 60 different campuses. There is one right down the road from my house in North Norman. And we know people who work there as well. So they have 397 pre-K through 12 school district and 16 skill centers campuses. So I have another list here of the 17 career clusters that they serve. And I was just going to share one of these with you. So energy is a big one here in Oklahoma. So the energy career cluster, it has all the people for the speaker. That's not what I wanted. But these are the divisions of what you can get training in order to go into one of these careers. So I'm going to click back here for us. So it's energy, finance, government and public administration, health science, hospitality and tourism, human services. There's a lot of stuff that can be done. They also usually have a lot of adult education classes that you can take, learning how to do things like QuickBooks. You can go to real estate school. That's what I didn't go there, but you can go get your real estate license and continuing educations there as well. Usually there's some sort of financial incentive for kids. I believe it's open to juniors and seniors in high schools. And I do see them taking kids to the schools. However that works now, it may be different from whenever I was growing up. But I do believe it's a great way to get some career training. What I've told people recently, as their kids are looking into different careers and things to do, like just pick a direction, right? Of what you want to do, especially when you're in your 20s, and go towards it. And getting that training will help you really figure out what you want to do. And this is a great way to do that because it's less expensive than some of the university options. But Oklahoma does have a great career tech system, and everyone should take advantage of it at some point. I think that's amazing. And it's a great thing for our state. Sweet. So I have one more thing to show you guys. Thanks for sticking with me. It's been a long time. I led another class. This isn't a class. I led a class earlier today, and I had talked for a good bit. So I do appreciate your patience and your time in this. So hopefully this will be helpful for you guys. But the next thing that I have here is the Oklahoma Summer Arts Institute. So I ran into this while I was on K4's website. I like K4 for my website. I also use their weather app. And the reason that I like it is because they seem to have good information. I don't know. That's just me. Whoa, not what I wanted to do. That's what I wanted. Please. There we go. The reason that I like it is for their weather app. I like Mike Morgan. I know everyone loves David Payne and he's hysterical, but I don't need the extra anxiety whenever there is a tornado. But I just think they have good information. So this is one thing that I ran into on their website. This is the Oklahoma Summer Art Institute's. So this says that this is for students in 9th through 12th grade. Graduating seniors are also still eligible, but you can apply and go to the Summer Art Institutes. It looks like it's at Quartz Mountain this year. Quartz Mountain is out in Greer County. I went a couple of years ago. It's one of the original state parks here in Oklahoma, and they opened it up, and it's interesting. I liked the hiking. There are some snakes, so I'm not super a fan of that, but it's really interesting to discover your own state. So if you do live here, I suggest that you make the drive out there to go see some of Western Oklahoma if you don't already live there. It's really fascinating. Oh. Finally get to see Oklahomans in real life who can provide me with some insight. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yes, I try to be honest and transparent. Someone told me recently that that's why they watch my channel. So yes, I do try to be honest with you. I have so many opinions about the state, and I know that people are working really hard to make this a great place to live, and everyone has their own opinions. And I don't think that any of them are necessarily ones that we should mark off. So yes, thank you so much for commenting. I really appreciate that. So applicants have to be Oklahoma residents for this Oklahoma Summer Art Institute's they said, it's like 1,000 students apply and only 250 get in. So these are due on Monday. So if you know of a student that needs to go to this, which I don't know why I didn't try to go to this whenever I was in high school, because this looks awesome. Maybe I was just a slacker. I don't know. But anyway, go to it. See if you have someone in your life, send this to them. It looks like they have to do an online application, including audition material, and it has to be uploaded by February 12th, which I think is Monday. Yep, it is. I just booked something today on it, and there is a $25 application fee for each student. So I think that's a really cool thing for students to do so that they can get out there and see what's going on with life and meet some new people. I think that's amazing. Did I have one more thing? No, that's it. Thanks so much for joining today, guys. I really appreciate you watching. And if you have comments, if you have questions, go ahead and drop them in the comments. And I will, of course, answer them even after this isn't live. Thank you so much. And I will talk with you next week.